907 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? Chris Hand here. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You know why you need them. Got to get that stuff out of your water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com. We appreciate you watching the show, listening to the show, however you may be doing it on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or over on YouTube. We are live, Super Talk TV. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button while you're there. We got a big show today. The deep state has failed to stop Kash Patel as FBI director. I'm very excited about that. And does that mean that the Epstein list will be dropping soon?
Yes.
I hope so. And I have a callback to something that we played about 10 days ago now, a prediction that Glenn Beck made after the first day in office for Kash Patel, which we'll revisit. Also today on the show, Riley Gaines is going to be joining us at 9:35. Very excited to have Riley on. She's a friend of mine, and we work together at Turning Point USA, and she's got some thoughts on Trump versus Maine. There was some big developments in Trump versus Maine last night. Now, I don't know if you recall, but we spoke about this yesterday on the show, that you had the state of Maine openly defying Trump's executive order on keeping boys out of women's sports. They just decided not to do it. It was a high school pole vaulting competition, and the boy that won the girls' competition in Maine a couple years ago, he came in 5th place in the boys' version of the same competition. This is why it's unfair, right? Like, you understand this. He's only getting first place because he's now competing against girls. Donald Trump put a stop to that with an executive order. And I said yesterday on this show that I hope Donald Trump pulls their federal funding. I hope he does. That was what was laid down in the executive order. That's what Trump had been saying nonstop. And then last night, it was the Republican Governors Association, I believe. There was a gathering of governors. Trump was speaking in front of them, and he laid down this hammer. Oh, you want to give me some audio, Mason? Appreciate it, man.
I heard men are still playing in Maine. Is anybody here from Maine? Who is that? Is that the governor? Well, I hate to tell you this, but we're not going to give them any federal money. They are still saying we want men to play in women's sports, and I cannot believe that they're doing that. They are, let's find out who that guy is that raised his hand. Maybe he's just kidding. But, so we're not going to give him any federal funding, none whatsoever, until they clean that up.
I love it. I'm here for it. Riley Gaines is going to join the show and talk to us about this. Riley's been obviously instrumental in all of this from day one, back to her swimming in Kentucky. Leah Thomas, you know the story. Everybody knows the story by now. But she was there when Trump signed that executive order. And I wonder if she anticipated this happening, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't anticipate it, right? Like, maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, but the news cycle's been so crazy. I didn't really, game plan out in my mind what might happen when a state does defy it. And I wasn't sure if a state would defy it. Yet here we are, and Maine is now officially the worst state in New England. And I do believe that it's the worst state in New England. I had some people on social media, they were debating me on this. They didn't quite necessarily believe that Maine was the worst state in New England. And I said, it is. It most certainly is. And they said, well, what about Connecticut? And I said, well, Connecticut used to have the Hartford Whalers. Like, at least they used to have something going on. What does Maine have? Maine's got nothing. Maine has the second worst Portland in the entire country. It's a lousy state. But I want you to weigh in as well. So if you're watching over on Super Talk TV on YouTube, while you're hitting like and while you're hitting subscribe, you can also weigh in on the poll that we got up there, which is the worst state in New England. So the options are aplenty. You got Massachusetts, you got Rhode Island, you got Connecticut, you got New Hampshire, you got Vermont. Obviously it's Maine. But I'll let you decide if you want to weigh in on the poll on Super Talk TV. We do appreciate you joining us, however you're joining us. All right, so Kash Patel, real quick, heck of a. Actually, we'll do Kash Patel in a second. Real quick, let's start with USA Hockey. That game was awesome last night. Like, we lost in overtime, but it was a heck of a game, man. It was unbelievable. And I love that it was a game that I don't think anybody would have paid attention to if it wasn't for all the drama. Like, it added a sense of importance to it that I don't think would have been there otherwise. And I loved every second of it. Now, President Trump, he called Team USA before the game, and I thought that was a pretty cool moment.
Talk to the guys if they're around.
Yeah, they are. I'm going to walk into the locker room right now, and you can speak to the guys firsthand. Mr. President, can you hear me?
I can. You guys are really talented. I have great respect for hockey players. I'm a hockey fan. I love hockey. The talent, the skill that you have is crazy. And just go out and have a good time tonight. And I just want to wish you a lot of luck. You really are a skilled group of people. It's an honor to talk to you and get out there, and there's no pressure whatsoever.
I can tell you honestly, every person in here, players, staff, management, coaches, we are all proud Americans, and we want to represent our country the best way we can and do our best to bring in a win tonight. Thank you again on behalf of everybody.
You just go out and have a good time. You're going to win, and we love America, and we love you guys. We'll be watching tonight. Bring it on.
Thank you.
So that was Team USA getting a call from President Trump. Again, yeah, they lost the game, but it was cool, man. It felt bigger than it should have felt because of everything involved in it. And yes, the Boston faithful, they did boo the Canadian national anthem, which, again, I loved. I loved it. I thought it was so funny. Now, you'll see the clips, and it's like, whoa, the Boston fans are ruthless. Whoa, they really gave it to him. It's like, yeah, but that was in the beginning of the anthem. At the end of the anthem, they're cheering, and you even have people in the audience singing the Canadian national anthem. So I felt like it was all in good fun. You know, listen, they're going to be the 51st state, right? The next youngest state is 65. So this is like the state's little brother, right? Everybody's going to need to razz the little brother.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're doing, booing their national anthem. We're just, like, we love them, but we're picking on our little brother.
Yeah, I got to give the Canucks little nucks.
We're just picking on. We're picking
a
on
little noogie, little.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're just picking on our little brother.
it's all right. We'll get over it.
Peter Ducey yesterday during the White House press briefing asked if Trump had a bet with Trudeau about the Canada-USA hockey game.
For Caroline, does President Trump have a bet with Trudeau about this USA-Canada hockey game tonight? And when there is a big hockey game on, is the president watching for the goals or for the fights?
Probably both. I think he's watching for the United States to win tonight. I know he talked to the USA hockey team this morning. He talked to the players after their morning practice around 10 o'clock. And I also spoke to some folks from that team after. They were jubilant over President Trump's comments to the team. I believe they're going to put out a video of that call. So he looks forward to watching the game tonight, and we look forward to the United States beating our soon-to-be 51st state, Canada.
I just love the trolling. I do. I don't even care that we lost the game. I think it's hilarious. Hey, what's going on with the poll? We only got 4 states up. Is there only 4 options that you can do?
Unfortunately, we can only throw 4 up there.
All right, that's fair. And you know what? So we left out New Hampshire and we left out Rhode Island.
Yeah, I was like, Rhode Island's a little small. It's okay.
Yeah,
And nobody ever talks about New Hampshire.
No.
Nobody talks about New Hampshire.
New Hampshire's the live free or die state. That's they're better than some of the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of why I left it to the side, but I like some of the responses already in the chat talking about it. Betty Rain said, sorry, Chris, had to vote for Vermont. They gave us Bernie.
Ooh.
I was like, that's a good point.
And Ben and Jerry's.
Ooh, that's a good toss-up,
Yep.
though.
Yep. You're right. But Maine's got nothing.
Yeah. I was like, Maine's at 62% right now on our poll.
it's
Over, just dropped to 60 with everything else, a nice even 13% balanced out everywhere else.
And listen, I don't like Massachusetts as much as the next guy, but I don't think it's the worst state in New England.
No, absolutely not.
I think that there's much more.
Maine on the other end.
So, all right, so I love the trolling going on between the U.S. and Canada happening, and I love it with the hockey game. But Premier Doug Ford out of Ontario, that's like their governor, Premier. Premier Doug Ford out of Ontario, I don't think he gets that, like, a lot of this is just hilarious. Like, he sort of gets that it's funny, but I heard these comments from him yesterday before the game. He's standing in front of a podium that says "Protect Ontario." This is the guy who, when the tariffs were coming, right before Canada bent the knee, he canceled his Starlink contract with Elon Musk like a putz, and I hope Elon upcharges him when they go to renew the contract inevitably. But so this is Doug Ford.
After your meeting in Washington last week, one of the individuals who you had met with, James Blair, the Deputy Chief of Staff in the White House, appeared to ridicule the Premier, suggesting that the White House never agreed that Canada would not be the 51st state. You came out of that meeting calling it constructive. How was that, in your view, constructive?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think I've been pretty clear when I was down there and here. Canada will never, ever be the 51st state. And Canada is not for sale, and it will never be for sale.
Whoa, 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 Doug. Who said anything about giving you guys money? I'm sorry. Throughout all of this, I don't know. Like, did we say we were going to buy Canada? I thought we said we were just going to take Canada. I thought we were done subsidizing Canada.
We were freely giving it to us.
I don't recall anybody offering any money to Canada for Canada. Did we say we were going to buy Canada? I missed that.
I don't recollect. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, we were just going to take it. So, yeah, but that's cool. Not for sale.
I think if anything, they were paying us for the tariffs we were putting on them.
Canada is not for sale, he says. So, well, we weren't going to pay for it. So, I love it. I love it. All right, so we got President Trump versus Maine. That's going to be fun. We're going to talk to Riley Gaines about that at 9:35. After we talk with Riley, we'll dig in on the Kash stuff. Just a teaser for the Kash stuff. It was 10 days ago now that Glenn Beck was on the Patrick Bet David podcast. 10 days ago, okay? Remember that. This is 10 days ago today, and he made this prediction.
The only thing I care about is the scandal of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released.
In the next 10 days.
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Yep.
please. You think in the next 10 days the whole thing's going to be released?
Yeah.
And what kind of information you have to be able to be that certain about it?
I plead the fifth.
In the next 10 days.
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Glenn,
yeah. Stop it.
Next 10 days.
You're
I'm telling
teasing millions who want that list.
Day number 1, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Oh, please. Did Kash Patel get confirmed yet?
Not yet. They
Not
delayed
yet.
it.
Did RFK get confirmed yet?
Not yet.
Tulsi? None of them.
House, not Senate. Yeah.
So as soon as he's confirmed, his first day, it will be released.
Oh, I can't wait.
So again, that prediction was 10 days ago. Today will be Kash Patel's first full day in office, and we're all going to find out together just how good Glenn Beck's sources are. When I played this 10 days ago, I said, I'm going to hang on to this receipt. What a 10 days it's been. You hear in that clip, is RFK confirmed yet? Not yet. Is Tulsi Gabbard confirmed yet? Not yet. Is Kash Patel confirmed yet? Not yet. Whew. We're riding at full strength now after Kash Patel's been confirmed. So we'll dig into that a little bit more a little bit later. Riley Gaines joining the show at 9:35. Right now, it's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, formal charges filed today in the case of a young soldier murdered in her Clarksville home. Also got an update on the health of the Pope. Those stories coming up here at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 26 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? Chris Hand here. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can watch the show live on YouTube. Super Talk TV happening over there. Hit like, hit subscribe, and vote in our poll, which is the worst state in New England. We only had 4 options. So we whittled off Rhode Island. Too small, too insignificant. And then we also lopped off New Hampshire. Live free or die state.
It's probably the old Hampshire anyways.
I got an update here for you. I have a friend who moved here from Massachusetts. We actually she lived in Maryland, same place that I did for a while.
Yeah.
From Massachusetts originally. They call each other massholes there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that something?
I was born and raised there.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
So you know this term?
Yep.
That's crazy.
It's a term of affection.
That's what she says.
It's a term of affection. You know, it's funny. When I moved to the South, when I moved from Massachusetts to Richmond, my dad said, what's the biggest difference between the North and the South? And I said, well, in Massachusetts, if somebody says, hey, what's up? It's like, uh-oh. you might have a problem. But down in the South, if somebody doesn't greet you nicely, that's when you might have a problem.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird place. I'll never go back. One of my great aunts, she said, Chris, what do they think about us in Tennessee? Do they like us? And I said they don't. I said they don't.
No.
None of us do. None of us do.
I don't know if it's that we don't like them. It's more we just never think about them.
Yeah.
It's not in the forefront of our minds.
Yeah. But Massachusetts is not the worst. It's not the worst one.
Oh, absolutely. You want to know which one it is? And it's winning our poll?
Maine. And that's why we're going to be talking to Riley Gaines. There's a couple things I want to talk to her about, but Maine is first and foremost. There was a boy that competed in a high school pole vaulting competition, and he beat the girls. And that shouldn't be happening anymore because Trump signed an executive order saying boys can't be in girls' sports. So Maine is openly defying the executive order. And now President Trump going on record saying, hey, that federal funding that you're pretty used to, it's not going to be sticking around. Give me some audio real quick. Thank you.
I heard men are still playing in Maine. Is anybody here from Maine? Who is that? Is that the governor? Well, I hate to tell you this, but we're not going to give them any federal money. They are still saying we want men to play in women's sports, and I cannot believe that they're doing that. They are, let's find out who that guy is that raised his hand. Maybe he's just kidding. But, so we're not going to give them any federal funding, none whatsoever, until they clean that up.
Yep, thank you, sir. So we have a poll going on over on the YouTube chat. You can weigh in there. You know our sister station, 104.5 The Zone, weighed in?
Oh, did they?
They said no, New Hampshire and Connecticut is not a New England state. That's incorrect. Stick to sports.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, stick to sports,
yeah,
guys.
It definitely is.
Where were you guys when we were talking about hockey 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, I need more commentary on the USA team.
We'll have a great athlete that has never been on 104.5 The Zone joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Next, in the name of Riley Gaines, here's the news.
Good morning, 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Trouble this morning in Talbot's Corner on 65 southbound. An accident blocking the left shoulder right at exit 87 at Trinity Lane. Careful there. More in traffic and in weather coming up right after the news. 2 people charged in the death of a Fort Campbell soldier are making their first court appearance today. 35-year-old Sophia Rodas is facing first-degree murder charges in the death of Katia Aguilar in May. Aguilar had been stabbed nearly 70 times when she was found in her Clarksville home last May. Aguilar's husband, 40-year-old Reynaldo Cruz, is also charged with tampering with evidence. He will be in court today as well. After rain and then snow, some potholes have popped up on Nashville roads.
I don't want to ruin my tires and whatnot, so I'll be dodging them like Mario Kart.
Like Mario Kart, that woman telling Channel 4 her strategy. Well, you may also be dodging T-Dot pothole repair trucks. Be mindful. They're out there trying to make your commute a little better. Got an update here on the Pope's health.
Pope Francis continues to receive treatment for pneumonia at Rome's Gemelli Hospital. Sources tell ABC News the Pope is still working and seeing Vatican officials, spending his time between bed and an armchair. Also reporting that he's breathing independently. Thursday night, doctors said the Pope's condition has improved and signaled that he's responding well to treatment. It's unclear how long Pope Francis will remain hospitalized or whether he will lead noon prayer on Sunday. Marcus Moore, ABC News, Rome.
Finally, Canada defeated the USA in the final of the Four Nations Face-Off hockey tournament last night. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau taking a victory lap on X, posting, quote, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." That is the latest news. We've got your weather coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
936 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Really excited about our next guest. Riley Gaines is joining the show. Riley, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I know you're busy today, so we won't keep you too long, but I had to get your instant reaction to Donald Trump versus the state of Maine after he said this last night.
I heard men are still playing in Maine. Is anybody here from Maine? Who is that? Is that the governor? That's, well, I hate to tell you this, but we're not going to give them any federal money. They are still saying we want men to play in women's sports, and I cannot believe that they're doing that.
So that was Donald Trump last night speaking in front of a group of governors. Maine openly defying his executive order banning boys from girls' sports. You were there when the executive order was signed. What's your instant reaction to all this?
Well, it's wild to me that this is something that we applaud, because what this is, it's a president who is enforcing the law. It's really that simple. Look, this executive order, it lays it out pretty clear. Men cannot become women. Women cannot become men. Therefore, men do not belong in women's sports. I cannot believe that we have states, and I say states because it's not just Maine. Maine, California, Michigan, Minnesota, Virginia. Virginia ultimately just switched their stance to now complying with the executive order. But many states, blue states of course, who would rather risk losing federal funding. I know Maine last year received $4.8 billion in federal funds. They would rather risk losing that funding than declare women's sports are only for women. I can't believe it. I mean, think of the moral decay that we have suffered from, and I say we, I really mean the entire country has suffered from at the hands of the previous administration, but thank goodness, and I don't say that lightly, I really do thank God that President Trump is back in the White House. What we saw, what he said is accountability, and that's long overdue.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So this boy won, got fifth place 2 years ago, and then he won this competition against girls, and they think that this is okay. And they say that the winning athlete on the boys' team jumped 14 feet, meaning that the trans-identifying boy would have been in 10th place had he been competing against the boys, but they still try to say that there's no difference at all.
Of course, and this is, again, this isn't a one-off. This is how it is in virtually every single scenario. Every single scenario is essentially the same. You have these mediocre men who, mediocre might actually even be generous. You have less than average men competing in their rightful category to all of a sudden switching to the women's division and becoming these record smashers who are topping the leaderboards. Of course, that was the case in my own personal experience with Will Thomas, now known as Leah Thomas, a swimmer at UPenn who swam 3 years on the men's team, ranking in the 400s and 500s nationally, to then just 12 months later destroying, and I mean that, like total domination of every girl, every woman in the entire country winning a national title. Who in their right mind could look at this and think that's just or fair or moral or righteous by any means?
Yeah, and this is why I'm so grateful for you and the fight that you've been waging, because I got two daughters, and I don't want to see this stuff happening once they're of age to play in high school sports. So I appreciate what you're doing. But did you think when Trump signed this executive order that this was kind of going to be the end of it, or did you think this just marked another like a win of the battle but not the war?
That's right. Definitely a win of the battle. The war on woke has certainly not been won yet. This executive order, really in the grand scheme of things, any executive order, doesn't mean a whole lot past President Trump's 4 years in office. God forbid we have someone in the White House in 4 years like AOC. This executive order would be overturned just as quickly as it was put in place. So this does not absolve states also of passing legislation. I'll be testifying today in Georgia, the only state in the South, certainly a part of the SEC, that has not passed a law ultimately protecting women's sports yet. So it does not absolve states, and we still need to get this codified through both legislative chambers at the federal level. It's passed in the U.S. House, H.R. 28, the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. They can say it passed with bipartisan support, considering there were two Texas Democrats who voted in favor of protecting women and girls in sports. but it has not yet been heard on the Senate floor. It wasn't heard last year on the Senate floor. So I would really highly encourage Senate Majority Leader Thune to bring this to the floor. I don't think he wants to, because transparently, it likely will not pass. They need 7 or 8 swing votes, Democrats, to jump over the line to kind of reach that 60-vote hurdle. But nonetheless, put these people on the record.
Yep.
Do they stand with women or do they not?
Do you think that he doesn't want to bring it to the floor because he doesn't think it will pass or doesn't want to waste time? Or do you think that he's just not strong enough to even try and wage this fight?
I think he thinks it's a waste of time, which is really, really tragic because that's the message that girls have been sent the past 4 years, is that we don't matter. We're not worthy of calling ourselves champions anyways. That's why I'm so grateful for the moral clarity and the swift action of President Trump. He is sending the very opposite message to that we do matter, that our opportunities matter. Of course, this is bigger than just sports. It's bigger than standing on a podium. It's bigger than taking the trophy home. It's about, do you believe women deserve safety? If the answer is yes, then this should matter. Do you believe women deserve privacy in areas of undressing? If your answer is yes, then this bill, this piece of legislation, this issue, it should matter to you.
And I know you've spoken with the president many times on this issue. When he signed the executive order, did he pull you aside at any point and say, if any state goes against this, you know I'm going to pull their federal funding? Did he give you kind of like a teaser on any of that?
Yeah, it's been so good, of course, to have President Trump, but also what he's done with the Department of Education, as well as with the Attorney General Bondi's new office, what they've been able to do, how they have launched investigations now into Massachusetts, into San Jose State University, into University of Pennsylvania. All of this is fantastic, and again, I think it's kind of like the last critical step of transparency and accountability that I believe we're owed. So I look forward to getting to the bottom of these investigations, especially in these areas where there are major Title IX violation concerns. And of course, another thing that the Department of Education has recently done is demanded that the NCAA return all records and honors and trophies and all titles that had been stolen by men. They demanded the NCAA to return those back to their rightful winners, the exceptional women who were robbed. And I think that's a huge step, and ultimately admitting this was a farce from its inception.
Yeah, it's about time. I mean, we all knew it was a farce just from the moment we heard it. And if they told us to just accept the insanity and shut up and be quiet, and I'm glad we have voices like you that don't. So today you're in Georgia. The Riley Gaines Act. Explain to me what you're going to do today and what the odds are of Georgia passing that.
Yeah, well, Georgia is such an interesting place where you have President Trump, who won in 2016, Biden, who won in 2020, and Trump, again, who won in 2024. The political dynamic there is very bizarre. I can't honestly make much sense of it. It's always been a pretty independent state. So they're like I said, one of the last. They're on the back half. Over 25 states have passed some sort of fairness in women's sports bill now. Georgia has not, which comes as a shock to many people. So they have the Speaker of the House in Georgia has introduced a bill called the Riley Gaines Act, which is a very strong bill that would ultimately, again, ban men from competing in women's sports. But also, it would provide those sex-based definitions, providing definitions to words like male and female, and defining sex itself. President Trump, of course, he signed an executive order doing just that, and this bill follows in line with that executive order and provides clear language that will be codified into Georgia state law if it does pass, which I'm feeling very hopeful. This is something that has been a priority of, I know the Lieutenant Governor, Burt Jones. It has been a big mission of his. He played football at Georgia. He understands. Governor Kemp, he's vowed, of course, if this is on his desk, he will sign it. So I imagine this will get through, but hopefully we don't see any sort of theatrical performances from both the Republicans and the Democrats.
Are you worried about that a little bit? It sounds like this is something you're anticipating.
It's what I've seen time and time and time again. You have states like West Virginia, where there are a total 4 Democrats in the West Virginia Senate. Like it is entirely red. Last year, they were not able to pass the Sex Definitions Act because of filibustering and waiting till last minute and believing they had it on lock when in reality they did not. So you have to anticipate these things. State politics is there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes, you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Yep.
It's not as clear cut as I think many naive people like I used to be, how we should be, because we should trust our government. It's not as clear cut as that, unfortunately. I wish it was.
Has there been any point on this journey with you where you're going through and you're fighting for these legislation changes, you're fighting for all these girls in sports, that you've kind of been, I don't know, black-pilled essentially, like, what am I even doing this for? Or have you just really just stayed, forging ahead the entire time?
It's a mix. You definitely have highs and you definitely have lows. I can tell you, had Kamala Harris won on November 5th, first of all, of course, the outcome, not just on this issue, but all issues virtually, would be very different.
It's nightmare fuel.
Yes, this would be an uphill battle, and I don't like to use the word impossible because, of course, as a Christian, I know nothing is impossible with God, but it would have been virtually impossible to have any sort of progress, real progress. They use the word progress, but understand when they say progress, they really mean regressive. It would have been, as women, we would have continued to be ignored and stonewalled. Actually, not even just ignored and without a seat at the table. We as women would have been reprimanded for opposing, even daring to question the gender ideology movement. So again, that's why I've been living in this state of gratitude every day since, especially January 20th. Gratitude for God's mercy that we certainly do not deserve.
Yep. I would even go back further. July 13th. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, how can we help you? There's a lot of people in Tennessee that support what you're doing. How can we provide some backup? How can we support your mission? What can we do? What's the call to action?
Well, I think the first and foremost, especially you mentioned living in Tennessee. I am a very proud, lifelong, born and raised Tennessean. But what I've seen, even here in our state, a very red state, right, is complacency. People think, we're immune to this. It's not going to happen here. President Trump is in office. That would be your first mistake. My call to action is do not become complacent, because complacency, it is, of course, it's almost inevitable. Like success breeds complacency, but complacency breeds failure. It is the enemy to growth. It is the enemy to progress. So stay on it, be in tune. If your kids are in school, look at what your kids are bringing home. It seems pretty entry level, pretty basic, but all things that matter, and ultimately winning our culture, which of course in turn winning our country.
Yeah, and to your point on watching what your kids have in school, I make the point that in red states, they're after our kids even harder because that's points on the board. They have the liberal indoctrination centers set up, and they're good to go. The wheels are greased in blue states, but in red states, it's points on the board.
That's it. That's right.
All right, Riley Gaines, where can we find you online?
You can follow me on X. It is Riley_Gaines_. I've got a podcast with Outkick. It is called Gains for Girls. Always exciting things going on there. And I'm a Turning Point contributor. So
Yes,
we love
ma'am.
Turning Point. We were going to many, many campuses this semester to really engage and mobilize the youth, which of course, is a big passion of mine.
Yeah, you are insanely busy these days. I do not envy your travel schedule, but I do appreciate what you're doing, and I'll pray for you on the road. And thank you again as a guy with 2 daughters. I really do appreciate what you're doing.
That's what it's about. Tell your girls I say hi.
I will. Riley Gaines on the hotline. Appreciate you, Riley. It is 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Luigi Mangione gets another day in court today, and Nashville lands on one of the top spots on a list that no city wants to be on. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 56 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of Luigi Mangione, friend of the show, Bo Diddle, he's going to be down there. There's actually going to be a protest outside the courtroom, a pro-Luigi protest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Crazy, right?
Yep. So he's going to be down there covering it. We'll catch up with him probably next week. See how that was. Insanity. This is the left in its current form. They want boys and girls sports, and they want CEOs with families to be murdered because reasons.
And criminals to walk free.
Yeah, criminals to walk free. Yep. And heroes to go to jail, like
wild,
like Daniel Penny.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I got a good text here from Steve. Said, I have a question about the men playing in women's sports. How did all this crap get started? That's a heck of a question. He said, what happened to make it possible to have men in women's sports? What are we doing to make sure this does not happen again? Well, I don't want to relitigate what we're doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. Trump, executive orders. You got Riley Gaines going state to state to codify it into the law. It needs to be codified in the law. Executive orders can be overturned, but Trump's going to pull Maine's federal funding, okay? How did it get started? In my humble opinion, just me personally, this is just my opinion, gay marriage was legalized. And it was the slippery slope that it was warned about. Now, honestly, I don't really care about gay people getting married. I have my own version, my own take via religion on what happens when you go against the Lord. But setting that aside, it doesn't really affect me on earth here, even though I'm not for it. But the slippery slope happened because you had a lot of NGOs and charities and these organizations raking in tons of money, right? Just absolute buku bucks trying to get gay marriage legalized. And then it happened. And then you had all these people with these $250,000 salaries go, oh no, our cause is gone. Our gravy train is gone. What do we do now? Again, this is just my opinion. I think they said, okay, well, what's the next marginalized group? They said, transgenders. And they said, boom, let's go. And I think that you can trace a lot of this back to that moment under Barack Obama. Personally, again, just my opinion. I think that that's what happened. I think the slippery slope was absolutely real, and I think we've been watching it happen in real time. However, we got strong leaders now and strong voices fighting against it, like Riley Gaines, like President Trump, and I do believe the tide is turning. But we got to get it. We got to get it into law, plain and simple. Executive orders can be overturned. Riley made a fantastic point, and she's not wrong. If you missed any of the interview with Riley Gaines, you can find it. We'll have it repackaged on YouTube later today, as well as on the podcast, Apple and Spotify. If you're watching us on Super Talk TV, we love you guys over there. The chat is jumping, as it always is. Shout out to the YouTube chat. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And don't forget to comment as well. Share it with your friends. We do appreciate it. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And when we get back, Kash Patel, Epstein list. Woo, we're going in. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The suspect accused in the shooting and killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson is back in court in New York today. Luigi Mangione's first court appearance since December. ABC's Trevor Ault reports that the hearing today could result in a trial date finally being set.
Mangione has already pleaded not guilty to murder and also a terrorism charge, and he is also separately due in federal court next month on even more charges, including one which could yield the death penalty.
Pothole repair ramping up across Middle Tennessee, and officials are hoping that drivers' patience holds up. This is TDOT spokesperson talking to Channel 4.
We're going to see a lot of potholes because it's just, that is the recipe for potholes. The wet weather, then freezing weather, and then a thaw. That is how potholes are made. So we just ask, please be patient. We're going to be patching a lot.
Yeah, if you come across a pothole, it's recommended that you file a report with NDOT or with TDOT. The two people charged in connection to the murder of a young Army private are in court this morning for the very first time. 23-year-old Katia Aguilar was murdered in her Clarksville home in May, stabbed nearly 70 times, according to an autopsy report. Her husband, 40-year-old Reynaldo Selena Cruz, and 35-year-old Sofia Rhoda were indicted in February. Their appearance in court today is to formally face murder charges against them. Did Hamas try to pull one over on Israel? Turns out one set of hostage remains returned yesterday isn't who Hamas said it was.
Israel's prime minister this morning is promising revenge after officials in Israel say one of the 4 bodies handed over by Hamas was not that of Shiri Bibas. Israeli officials say they don't know whose remains they are. In his statement, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the cruelty of Hamas knows no bounds. Hamas says her remains were mixed with other victims buried in the rubble of a building. Lama Hassan, ABC News, London.
Nashville traffic can certainly be a mess, and now the American Transportation Research Institute, they focus primarily on the trucking industry. They say one Nashville interchange landed in the top 5 worst in the country. It's I-24 at I-440 East, came in at number 5 on the list of the worst bottlenecks. Also at number 16, I-40 at I-65. And that's not all. I-65 at I-24, that landed on the number 53 on that list. There are 7 Tennessee spots that make the top 100 list. Truckers say the bottlenecks choke the nation's supply chains. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Just to recap the last hour, USA Hockey lost in overtime. It's a bummer. I do believe the game was rigged, and we now need to send in tanks. It's Just for the record. Just can't keep letting him get away with it. We also had Riley Gaines on. She was awesome. Podcast will be available on Apple and Spotify soon. We'll also repurpose it and put it on YouTube so that way you can share it with your friends. If you missed it, you want to listen again. Maine, the worst state in New England, easily. We have a poll right now, and I do believe Maine is still winning the poll as the worst state in New England.
Oh, yeah, looks like this person behind it is about 14% behind.
Okay.
That's Massachusetts. But we're winning, Maine is winning at 38% right now.
It's the only thing Maine's ever won. They have objectively a worse Portland than Oregon.
Whoa.
So,
That's saying a lot.
I'm just saying. So that's what we did last hour. We got a 3-hour show, a lot to get to. Kash Patel was confirmed yesterday. Hello. That means we're about to go full Super Saiyan on everybody. Some will get the reference. All right, so we're very excited about Kash Patel. Deep State on full panic. They're on notice. And in his first statement, Kash Patel is vowing to hunt down those who seek to harm Americans. That's in his first statement as FBI director. He said, I'm honored. I am honored to be confirmed as the 9th director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Thank you to President Trump and Attorney General Bondi for your unwavering confidence and support. The FBI has a storied legacy from the G-Men to safeguarding our nation in the wake of 9/11. The American people deserve an FBI that is transparent, accountable, committed to justice. The politicization of our justice system has eroded public trust, but that ends today. My main mission as director is clear. Let good cops be cops and rebuild trust in the FBI. Working alongside the dedicated men and women of the Bureau and our partners, we will rebuild an FBI the American people can be proud of. And to those who seek to harm Americans, consider this your warning. We will hunt you down in every corner of this planet. Mission first, America always. Let's get to work. I love it. I'm here for it. I think Kash Patel is the right guy for the job, and I'm excited to see what he does. I'm also excited to see what's going to come of it. You know, if you recall, it was 10 days ago now that we played on this very show a prediction from one Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck went on the Patrick Bet David podcast 10 days ago and made this prediction.
The only thing I care about is the scandal of the pedophiles, and in the next 10 days, you're going to see the Epstein file released.
I mean, listen, that's a big statement. I too care about the satanic pedophiles that run the world. I think we all do, and I think that we all want to know who's on the client list and the Diddy parties. Let's be real. But Glenn Beck on the Patrick Bet David podcast 10 days ago said his sources told him by the end of Kash Patel's first day, which weird, would happen to be today, we would have the Epstein list.
In the next 10 days.
Next 10 days.
Oh, please.
You think in the next 10 days the whole thing's going to be released?
Yeah.
And what kind of information do you have to be able to be that certain about it?
I plead the fifth.
In the next 10 days.
Next 10 days.
Oh,
Glenn, stop it.
Next 10 days.
You're
I'm telling
teasing millions who want that list.
Day number 1, Kash Patel walks in. By the end of the day, it will be released.
Oh, please. Did Kash Patel get confirmed yet?
Not yet. They
Not
delayed
yet.
it.
And did RFK get confirmed yet?
Not yet.
Tulsi? None of them, though.
House, not Senate. Yeah.
So as soon as he's confirmed, his first day, it will be released.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Let's see how good Glenn Beck's sources are. I pray that Glenn Beck has the best sources. Today will be Kash Patel's first day in office. I want the Epstein list. Do you want the Epstein list? 615-737-9986. How about you guys over on the YouTube chat? You guys want the Epstein list? Hit like and subscribe while you're watching on Super Talk TV. Do you want the Epstein list? Yes, I want the Epstein list. I hope Glenn Beck's sources are good. You know that I actually had Glenn Beck's coffee machine for a few years. You want to hear a random story? We stole Glenn Beck's coffee machine. I think is the better way to put it.
That makes more sense. Okay. It's like, how did you?
So Virginia, my wife, used to work in radio.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So when I met her, I was working in hip-hop and music radio, and she was on air at a rock station, and she was a promotions director.
Okay.
So she was kind of like what our promo people do. They set up big events, like our event that's coming up at Nashville Palace for the joint session of Congress on the 4th of March.
Tickets still on sale.
Tickets on sale, 997WTN.com. So she would set up these events, and they put her in charge of the news talk station in Richmond, which was WRVA. And Glenn Beck had a syndicated program, and they had it on WRVA in Richmond. So they had him come in for this big event at it was called the Mosque in Richmond at the time. It was like a really, really nice, cool building, and near VCU in downtown Richmond. And so Virginia's getting the backstage area ready for Glenn Beck, and she realized that he needed, like, everybody sends a rider, right? Like what they need backstage, and he needed a coffee machine. And the venue was like, yeah, we have a coffee machine. And she's like, okay, perfect. She got there and she saw the coffee machine. She's like, this thing is nasty. Nasty. So she went out and bought a new coffee machine for Glenn Beck. And then after the event, we stole Glenn Beck's coffee machine. And I had it for years. And we used to always joke. It's like, yep, coffee tastes better coming out of Glenn Beck's coffee machine.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So I hope he's right. I hope he's right. Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked about the Epstein list yesterday. This is outside of CPAC. Benny Johnson asking AG Bondi about the Epstein list.
Scaring bad guys is something Kash has talked about a lot, and you have when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and the people who are like predators in this country. They've been given a pass, and a lot of Americans think these guys have got a pass for a long time, and maybe even are still being protected right now. Where are we at with the Jeffrey Epstein list, the documents? And Kash has made a lot of public statements about this. Where are we at?
I was briefed on that yesterday. I can't talk about that publicly, but President Trump has given a very strong directive, and that's going to be followed.
Wow. Okay. So
a lot of documents.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So people can expect actual movement on this. It's not just empty promises.
Oh, Donald Trump doesn't make empty promises.
Yeah, right.
I think promises made, promises kept, and that's why we're all there to carry out his directive about making America safe and prosperous.
I don't think it's like as direct of an answer as I wanted. I don't know if I could have expected a more direct answer from Pam Bondi at this point in time before it's being released, as she's probably going through some of these documents. But I wanted to hear more. And I mean, listen, the FBI has all of this stuff, right? The FBI has thousands of hours of video from not only Epstein Island, but also the Diddy parties. This is how these blackmail operations worked, right? It wasn't just all fun and good times. It was, we have you on video. Now, some of this stuff, listen, some of these people that are going to be pulled into this, I don't know if they're going to be as evil as, what some of the internet stories make it out to be. Some of this stuff may be like, hey, Congressman X, by the way, you had some fun last night, didn't you? Hey, remember that girl you were with? Turns out she was 16. And then they'd be like, what? And we have it on video. What? Be a shame if your wife found out. Vote this way. Like, it could be stuff like that, which I don't necessarily, it's bad. It's bad, but it's not as evil as some of the underbelly of the internet conspiracy theories make it out to be. Though I do believe some of those underbelly of the internet conspiracy theories are true. But this has been talked about ad nauseum. There are several thousand hours of video from Epstein Island and Diddy.
There are a lot of videos, apparently. Those rooms on the island, and I think out in New Mexico, were wired for video.
Right.
And
where's the video? I mean, between Diddy and Epstein, it's good. There's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that the people on those videos are lecturing the rest of us about our moral failings, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird.
What is that?
Well, I mean, part of how they deflect attention from themselves is by, criticizing the morals of others.
Yes.
So it's sort of like a preemptive moral strike.
Yes.
I mean, as I said, I think those who are saying Trump is a threat to democracy are themselves actually the threat to democracy.
Yeah, that was Elon and Tucker talking about this a while back, but it's so true. They always accuse people of what they do themselves, right? It's a tale as old as time. till as old as time. Speaking of which, I tell you what, this interview dropped, and it was Suge Knight. Suge Knight, I know, Suge Knight, Death Row Records, Suge Knight, and he's on this interview on this podcast with this other guy who's been to prison a couple times, and they start talking about Epstein. And I'm listening to this last night, and I found myself chuckling because I said, I don't know if Suge Knight is telling the truth here, or if he's just doing this for clout and attention as he's doing this podcast interview. But I'm more inclined to believe Suge Knight than I am inclined to believe the FBI, or at least the FBI before Kash Patel was the director, right? Now, I'm more inclined to believe Suge Knight than I am the previous iterations of the DOJ. I'm more inclined to believe Suge Knight than I am the mainstream media. And as I'm laughing to myself thinking that, I thought, I might as well bring it to the show. Former record executive Suge Knight, bombshell claims, alleging that Barack Obama was a confirmed guest at Diddy parties and that Oprah Winfrey was on Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile island.
And that did happen with Puffy.
We wouldn't be having. Yeah. 1,000%.
You think Obama had anything to do with any of these parties that he had?
Absolutely.
Wow.
You got presidents, you got preachers. T.D. Jakes is one of the biggest black preachers around that everybody loves. Everybody in prison, if they try to get the word of religion, they're not going to the chapel somewhere. They're turning to watch T.D. Jakes. He had to resign from his whole community.
That's right.
You talking about the top of the top.
Unbelievable.
He said Obama was at Diddy parties. Would not shock me at all. Rock the vote. Vote or die. Right? Vote or die. Yeah, it would not surprise me. We know. The top of the top. What did LeBron say? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. Again, I don't know if Suge Knight's telling the truth, but if you're going to ask me who do I want to trust more, the mainstream media narrative or Suge Knight, I'm gonna go with Suge. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think he has a dog in the fight. I don't think he has much skin in the game. I think he's just going to tell you like it is.
Man, I got a lot of questions with this guy, but you answered the first one. How do you get away with something like this for all this time with all these people that are allegedly involved? I want to tell you this. I was in the same tier, the same cell that Epstein was on. And Suge, there's no way in hell that guy could have committed suicide on that tier. I was in there for 7 months.
Well, no. I mean, listen, let's push back against that. Of course he committed suicide while he was on suicide watch. And we would have the video, but gosh darn it, it was a glitch and the video stopped working. So, I mean, listen, that stuff happens, right? So take off your tinfoil hat. And yeah, and the guards that were supposed to be watching him 24/7 fell asleep at the exact same time. But listen, you're telling me you wouldn't get tired? I mean, this is just we're diving into the weird world of conspiracies now, and I don't like to do that.
There's no way.
And coming from you, I know you didn't know the truth, and I personally didn't think he was going to commit suicide. But the thing is, he had from Oprah Winfrey to everybody on that island. Anybody with a weird fetish, and that's what underage kids was on that island, and everybody knew it.
Everybody knew it. Listen, you can find tapes of John McCain's wife talking about Epstein. It's Cindy McCain, and she's like, everybody knew about Epstein. We all knew. Everybody knew. And it's like, well, why didn't you say anything? Well, because are you all compromised? I mean, listen, like this is not a conspiracy theory. When Suge Knight says everybody knew, mark my words, everybody knew. Again, Cindy McCain, who is supposed to be
McCain, thank you so
an
much,
she's supposed to be an anti-trafficking advocate. That's what she said she was. She was an anti-trafficking advocate. She said everybody knew about Epstein.
Institute and for coming here, talking to us. So I'm going to shoot straight.
the perception between a lot of young people is that there is an untouchable ring of governmental and economic elites in this country that not only benefit, like she mentioned, but actively participate in sex trafficking. Jeffrey Epstein was an example. Robert Kraft was arrested not far from here on trafficking charges, and so we, in terms of this as a grassroots movement to push to combat against this issue, are these power players a priority for us right now? Can we even touch them? Or is this a pipe dream that we need to address in the future somehow?
It's like everything. It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing.
That's Cindy McCain, wife of John McCain. She's an anti-human trafficking advocate. We all knew about him. He was hiding in plain sight. Everybody knew. Everybody knew. All right, well, I'm going to sit over here patiently, and I'm going to keep my eyes on the socials, and I pray that Glenn Beck has the best sources in the business. Glenn Beck said 10 days ago, that in 10 days the Epstein list would be released. He said by the end of Kash Patel's first day, we would have our hands on the Epstein list. Let's pray that Glenn has some good sources. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at the Glock store. I got a message the other day. Said, hey, Chris, I'm going to the Glock store this weekend with the wife. Which trainer do you recommend? I said, man, I love Mitch. I train with Mitch all the time, but I don't think you can find a bad trainer inside the entire Glock store. All these guys are experts. And no matter which instructor you have, they're going to take you into a private room, not a lane range, a private room, and give you a custom session tailored to your experience level. And no matter what your experience level is, I guarantee you, when you walk out of a training session at the Glock store, you're walking out more confident and a better shooter than you went in. And the crazy thing is, you'll actually shoot less and learn more. That's the Glock store. And all month long in February, it's 2-for-1 shooting at the Glock store. You book your session at shoot270.com, and when you get down there, you say, Chris Hand sent me, and you get 2 shooters for the price of 1 all February long. They're keeping the love going, aiming for the heart at the Glock store, and this is the perfect day date for you at the Glock store. Couples session for the price of 1 shooter. Only at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Book your session right now, shoot270.com.
An update from Kentucky after massive flooding, and another brick and mortar store is on the rocks. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 26 minutes past the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We got a jump in YouTube chat over on the Super Talk TV live stream on YouTube. Head on over there if you want to watch the show. Hit like and subscribe. My wife said it's fun to put me on because she watches on TV, and she says that she enjoys the mute button. That's what she said.
Because she can't do it when you're at home. And gives her
really,
sense of power.
She didn't really say that. I'm like waiting for the text. She's like, I didn't say that. So I'm gonna be like, okay.
Hey, hold on.
No. But she says that I make a lot more facial expressions. Kind of conveys my point a little bit. I do, and I talk with my hands.
More animated, or
I talk with my hands a bit. I make weird faces.
Do you feel like you're more animated on the air or less? Or like comparable to normal life?
I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, I was like, I was gonna say I don't notice a difference, but
no, I feel like what you get from me on the air is exactly what you get from me off the air.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So a lot of people on the text line weighing in. Sure hope Trump's not on that list. Talking about Epstein. Every time.
It's always going to be that.
Trump took a flight to New York with Epstein one time. Yep. He has pictures with him. Yep. Not everybody in a picture with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell are going to be on the list. You have to understand the circles that they were running in, the parties that people were at, where photographers were. But I'll tell you what, Bill Clinton's on that list. Ghislaine Maxwell was at Chelsea's wedding. So Trump is one of the only guys back when Epstein originally got in trouble. Okay, so Epstein originally got in trouble. Trump found out and said, I'll give you any information you need. I'm happy to sit down with you. And the lawyer that was going after that case said that out of all the celebrities he tried to get in touch with, Donald Trump was the only one willing to go on record with him. And he said that Trump provided actionable information to the case. So, and I just don't believe it. After everything they've done to go after Donald Trump, you don't think that they wouldn't have used that against him? I think they would have used that against him. And they have all the info. The FBI has had the Epstein client list and the videos from New Mexico and Epstein Island. I would argue longer than they've had the Hunter Biden laptop, if I'm recalling correctly. Maybe they had the Hunter Biden laptop first, but they just sit on that stuff. If they had something against Trump, they would have used it. So no, I don't believe that Trump is going to be implicated. And if he is, listen, if he is, I'll be the first to tell you I was wrong, and I'll be the first to tell you get rid of him. Honestly. What happened at Epstein Island is unforgivable, and I think that some of these crimes that are being alleged, there's only one penalty that should be pushed forward, and that's wood chipper feet first. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 10:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Nashville police have arrested a man allegedly involved in a domestic abuse case that dates back to December. 25-year-old Kevin Walker accused of violating a no-contact order and assaulting his ex-girlfriend. The incident happened in Antioch when Walker reportedly assaulted the woman while their 3-year-old child was in a car nearby. Walker was arrested yesterday. He's being held now on a $50,000 bond. In Kentucky, the death toll from flooding is now at 15. Governor Andy Beshear saying that the money from the Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund is going to help pay for the funerals. Nearly $200,000 has been raised so far. About 180 state highways remain closed, some of them because of mud or rock slides, and thousands of people are still without power today. Another brick-and-mortar retailer is facing financial dire straits. Forever 21 is reportedly gearing up to file for bankruptcy a second time and is planning on closing 200 locations.
A Forever 21 spokesperson tells us it continues to explore strategic options, including a potential sale. The efforts are ongoing and no final decisions have been made. But this is a retailer that made its name offering low-cost clothing. It has struggled to win over shoppers amid competition from brands like Uniqlo and H&M. and from Chinese retailers online like Shein and Temu that can offer even lower prices.
And that's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It's 10:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You ever hear that old saying, don't feed the trolls? I try not to. I try. But sometimes I can't help myself. I got 7502 on the text line. He said, because I was just talking about Trump and Epstein, right? And, everybody always says, well, what if Trump's on the Epstein list? I'll condemn him. I don't think he's going to be on the list, though. And 7502 sounds like a Democrat. I'll explain to you why in a little bit. He said, they do have pictures of Trump and Epstein together, but no one has pictures of Obama with Diddy. Come on, man. Because I played a clip of Suge Knight saying Obama was at Diddy parties. And he said they don't have pictures of Obama and Diddy together. So I sent him a link. I said, you're right. They just have videos.
Yeah, there you go. Y'all. Thank you. And I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this. But this is part of what is important about giving back.
Yes, we applaud you, and I want to apologize for not sweating, but I do this so much. I'm so cool. I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool, and I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool. We
T-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
I'd be sweating right now if I was on the Epstein list or the Diddy party list. I'll tell you what. Obama and Diddy don't have pictures together. So 7502. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. That's debunked. Quickly. And I'm not disputing that Trump doesn't have pictures with Epstein. I'm not. But one thing I want to point out: Bradley Edward. He was an attorney who represented the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And he said that in 2009, I was a little bit off on the date. I think I'd said, 2014 or 2012, around there. But this was in 2009 when Epstein originally got caught up in trafficking. Trump was the only person that was willing to help and go on record to get Epstein behind bars.
This is Derek, and we're here at the Palm Beach County Courthouse. Just wrapped up the civil trial dealing with Mr. Bradley Edwards, attorney who's represented many of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. First off, thank you so much for your work and for everything you've done.
Absolutely, you're welcome.
This goes to the more salacious rumors, but I would like you to just, whatever you can say on it. Obviously, our current president has had relationships with Epstein in the past, and there are those, Katie Johnson and maybe other victims who have accused Trump of being involved in things like this. In my experience, Trump supporters will not listen to anything along those lines. Obviously, we're not a court of law here right now, but are those claims of that case was dropped? It was dropped before it went to court. In your opinion, as a lawyer and your experience, is there anything you can say as to the validity of those claims, or whether or not there will be any more about that? Any more about that?
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
So that was in 2009. The lawyer for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein said Trump had good information that was actionable that helped them in those cases against Epstein. So again, if new information becomes available, I reserve the right to change my mind. But I don't believe it at all. I just don't. I don't. And again, I'm seeing these texts from 7502, and it's like, I know you're not supposed to feed the trolls. I know, but I'll tell you how I know he's a troll. It was back because I can always go back in your texts, and they're all there. It's all online when you text in. But December 31st. Hey, Chris, why hasn't Trump appointed any cabinet positions to any blacks at all? No people of color, only Vivek. Okay, well, Scott Turner is the HUD secretary. He's African American. Kash Patel, he's Indian, but he's a person of color. He was just confirmed as FBI director. So that got debunked too. I mean, that was your last text before you texted me about Trump being involved with Epstein. So starting to draw some conclusions. I don't mean to be drawing conclusions, but I am drawing conclusions. Speaking of Trump, yesterday at the White House, he had a Black History event. which was pretty cool. Topher? Topher's been on the show a bunch of times. Topher was out there. He said it was awesome. And so Trump is doing a Black History event yesterday at the White House, and I love the way he did it. I really do. He's down there, and he's got a room full of Americans that are proud to be Americans. And Sage Steele is on Fox News, and she's saying, "Listen, it didn't even feel like we were invited for like a Black History event. It was like a pro-America event," which I thought was very, very cool. But there was this weird moment. Oh, and by the way, with Trump's a racist. He doesn't appoint anybody black. He just endorsed Byron Donalds for governor of Florida. He's very bad at being a racist. He needs to step his game up. So anyway, he has this Black History event yesterday at the White House. And you tell me, is this a setup? Is this a setup? Because he's got the Pfizer CEO at at the Black History event. And the Pfizer CEO, Albert Bourla, I don't know if you know this, not black. Maybe Trump didn't know. Wow, I didn't know he was black. I'm hearing this for the first time. I didn't know. Maybe. But so he's in a room, predominantly African Americans, and it's Black History Month event. And Trump says, by the way, we got great business leaders here. The CEO of Pfizer is here.
We also have the head of Pfizer here, so I want to thank him. One of the great people, one of the great businessmen. Thank you, Albert. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The CEO of Pfizer gets booed and heckled. I thought that I was going to enjoy the Canadian national anthem getting booed the most yesterday, and boy, was I wrong, because that tops it. That tops it. The CEO of Pfizer getting booed. Now, I don't understand. I don't understand why he was there. Makes no sense to me. But I do. I understand that the African American community has a very, very high distrust in the medical industrial complex. And I understand that there's a lot of news out there, a lot of studies that, especially when it comes to the MMR shot, we've played this a couple times on the show. If you delayed it for African American boys, especially until after they were 3, the chances of autism as an adverse reaction absolutely plummets. There's numbers of peer-reviewed studies out there, whistleblowers from the CDC who cite these studies, and they buried that. The African-American population has a large distrust. I mean, it goes back decades upon decades. You can talk back about the syphilis experiments and things of that nature. So I don't know why he had Albert Bourla at the African-American Black History event at the White House yesterday. He's not black, so it was a surprise to me. I thought maybe it was a setup. I thought it was a setup, but it was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it made my day. But speaking at the Black History event, when the CEO of Pfizer wasn't getting booed, Trump just touting some of the accomplishments that they've made.
In 4 weeks, our new administration has achieved more than most administrations achieve in 4 years. We brought our country back. It's 4 weeks. Today is our 4th week. It's the end of the week. We are now starting our 5th, and I think we've done more in 4 weeks. Well, certainly than the last administration did in 4 years. They actually went negative. They actually went in the wrong direction. Together, we're going to be fighting long and hard for Black Americans and all Americans. We're going to be fighting for all Americans.
This is the thing that I think is so cool, and what Trump does so differently. He has a Black History event, right? And he goes, yeah, we'll fight for Black America. We're going to fight for all Americans. And he kept doing this throughout the event. And he says, this is for all Americans. And he started talking about the National Garden of American Heroes, which was a plan that he wanted to implement in his last administration. And he's talking about all these American heroes. And this is something that Trump and especially conservative politics do differently than the left. The left, they want to divide into subgroups. And Trump doesn't want to do that. He wants to unify subgroups. We all bleed the same blood. We're all patriotic Americans. Deal with it. Like, I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're orange. Not a fan of the Danish, I'll be honest with you. But other than that, whatever. Whatever. But he says he's announcing the National Garden of American Heroes will include statues of African-American icons as well. And they're not going to be divided into their own separate black garden. No, if you're an American hero, whether you're white, black, green, or other, you're going to be in the American Hero Garden, period. And I love this. It's a Black History event, but it's all about unity. It's not about separation, which is what the left always does.
Under the executive order I signed last month, this new beautiful outdoor statue park. It's going to be a statue park. It's going to be unbelievable. We're picking the final sites now. It's between various states that want it very badly. We'll honor hundreds of our greatest Americans to ever live, including countless black Americans, icons. The garden will predominantly feature incredible women like Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, Billie Holiday, Aretha Franklin, and Coretta Scott King. And I will showcase extraordinary. It will be something very extraordinary. It's going to be producing, we're going to produce some of the most beautiful works of art in the form of a statue from men like Frederick Douglass.
Frederick Douglass was a Republican, by the way. Just in case you're keeping score at home.
Booker T. Washington, Jackie Robinson, what a great athlete that was. Martin Luther King Jr., Muhammad Ali, he was not a bad athlete. What do you think, Muhammad? Not too bad. And the late Kobe Bryant. People love Kobe Bryant. And we're going to save Tiger Woods for another time. That's all that I can. I'm sorry.
So Tiger Woods was there. So that's hilarious. I'm not sure about Kobe Bryant. I don't dislike Kobe. I think it's the being raised a Celtics fan that I have a problem with. I don't really need any Lakers in the Great American Heroes Garden. But listen, these great American heroes are going to be with all American heroes. They're not going to be divided. They're not going to be in the separate Black American Heroes Garden. No. If you're an American hero, you're an American hero. I love it. It's unity, not division. This is the difference between the left and the right. The left can't create anything beautiful. The left can only tear things down. Donald Trump is going to create something beautiful, and he pointed out the great Black American heroes that will be in that garden as well. And again, that's the best part. They're in the garden with all the other American heroes. All of them. He's pushing the left pushes a farce of inclusion while really they just divide via force, and Trump is actually pushing unity. That's the biggest thing. Now, he kept going. He kept going, and I love this part. He said, the left wants to really hyper-focus on a year 1619. You probably heard the 1619 Project. Now, this is a lot of the racist indoctrination that's put into American schools. 1619, that's the year slavery started. Just in case you're keeping score at home, America wasn't America then, okay? And Trump said, I don't want to focus on 1619. I want to focus on 1776.
The last administration tried to reduce all of American history to a single year, 1619. But under our administration, we honor the indispensable role Black Americans have always played in the immortal cause of another date, 1776. We like 1776.
Let's go.
In the very first skirmish of the Revolutionary War at Lexington Green, an enslaved black man named Prince Estabrook, you know Prince Estabrook? Yeah. Answered history's call and fought as the Minutemen alongside the other patriots of the very small Massachusetts town. Couldn't protect itself, but they did a good job. Prince was wounded in the early morning battle, becoming not only the first African-American soldier to fight in the Revolution, but among the very first Americans to spill their blood. One of the first in the nation to spill blood in that very, very tough time. Soon Estabrook joined the Continental Army and ultimately won his own freedom along with that of his fellow Americans. His legacy will endure, and we're very proud to honor him today. It's a very important day in our country, and we honor him.
I just love the way Trump handles himself. We're having a Black History event, but it's really an American history event. And yeah, we have Black heroes in our country, but they're really American heroes. While the left uses race as a point of division, Donald Trump is using it as a point of unity. The difference between the right and the left couldn't be more clear. And Trump, again, hits an absolute home run. Will CBS show it? Probably not. Will ABC show it? Highly unlikely. What about NBC? Let me shake my magic 8-ball. I got an ask again later. We'll do that. We'll do that one later. Okay. We'll come back to that one on NBC. But if I'm a betting man, I think not. It's 10:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand, and it's been cold. I think that's an understatement. And if your heater's not working, you're feeling it, and you don't appreciate my understatement. Well, if your heater's not working, you got to call the best. You got to call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Maybe you need to replace your heater. Well, right now, they're clearing out their 2024 inventory to make room for the 2025 models, and they're passing the savings along to you. How about this? 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pump model, just $6,997. That's a steal. And they'll bundle in a smart thermostat with it for free. That offer is limited to the first 25 customers on the smart thermostat. And maybe you don't need to replace the system. Busy Bee's not going to force you into that. Maybe you just need some maintenance. Well, they can take care of your systems as well. Join the Beehive Club today with Busy Bee. Just $99 per unit, 3 annual tune-ups, 10% on all repairs, front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. And all month long, you buy one Beehive Club membership, you get a second of equal or lesser value for free. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com.
All right, drivers in Laverne got a rolling roadblock for pothole repair. The left two lanes are blocked, 24 eastbound before Waldron Road. That is in addition to a crash blocking the left shoulder, 24 westbound, right before Almaville Road in Smyrna. And a city in Middle Tennessee is crediting technology for a 20% reduction in crime. We'll tell you that at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 57 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You know why.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com. Got an interesting text here. First-time texter, 2012. He said, every time I hear you guys refer to your listeners with a number, it drives me to changing the station. You guys have been a long-time favorite for me, but it is simply an insult to be referred to as a number. It's something I can't accept. Is there a good explanation for doing this? Thank you. Well, first-time texter, 2012. See, what happens here is we get the text messages in on the text line, and then people don't tell us their name, 2012. So I need to let you know that I'm referring to you specifically because we get a lot of texts on a lot of the same topics. And then so I reference the last four of your number because you don't tell us your name. 2012.
Which one was it? I'm trying to find it on the text line here.
If you look, it's the last four of his phone number are 2012.
2012. Okay, that's what it was.
We're not numbering you guys.
No. I can't count that high.
We can't.
I can't count that high.
There's too many of y'all. And then so I explained that to him in the text, and he said, okay, thank you. And then he still didn't tell me his name.
Therefore, leaving him just a number.
I love
you're
you.
not just numbers.
I love you, man. I'm just trolling. Just a little light trolling.
You guys are the best.
Don't change the station. I promise. If you tell me your name, I'll refer to you as your name. I have no problem. We got people that tell us their names all the time.
Yeah, I make notes for it.
Yeah, we do. We add it in there. So, got a lot to cover on the way, man. A lot to cover. Anything you want me to cover 2012, you just let me know on the text line. I got you.
Appreciate you, 2012.
We got some updates on the border. We got some audio from Tom Homan talking about the money that's going to be saved. And we got some updates from Doge. Hang out with us. Oh, and I didn't get to it yesterday. The dividends, right? The Doge check. Not a fan. But Jasmine Crockett, she's fallen into the trap that was laid by Trump and the conservatives on this one. I was texting with Murphy last night. I said, there's only going to be two types of people that are against the Doge checks. It's going to be like me and you and then Democrats. That's pretty much it. I'll explain to you why on the way. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. A reminder, 24 eastbound right before Waldron Road. The left two lanes are blocked for rolling roadblocks to fix potholes. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro police crediting technology for a 20% reduction in crime across the board. Deputy Chief Kerry Gensimer telling News 2, the Real Crime Center, using tools like gunshot detection devices, license plate recognition technology, and public safety cameras are paying off.
And that technology just really kind of relieves some of the pressure on, the traditional policing methods of actually having to have the police officers out there. This technology, it doesn't get tired. It doesn't have to have a break. It doesn't have to go home and go to sleep. It's always working, and it's really helping us to increase our efficiency.
He says homicide in Murfreesboro is down 55%, rape down 18%, robbery down 19%, aggravated assault down 7%. President Trump says Elon Musk will be looking at Fort Knox, the legendary depository in Kentucky for American gold reserves, to make sure the gold is still there. Now, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says there is an audit every year and that all the gold is present and accounted for, but Musk is going anyway. United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox has stored precious metal bullion reserves for the United States since 1937, just about 35 miles outside of Louisville. The suspect accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in court in New York today. It's Luigi Mangione's first court appearance since pleading not guilty in December. The judge expected to ask for an update on the exchange of evidence. And ABC News legal contributor Shonda Lloyd says a trial date could be set.
Always what the defense is going to be looking at are areas where they can put in reasonable doubt or find other reasons why this should not go forward.
Doge update. Karen Travers, the latest on the impact to the IRS.
This is a significant number of people at the IRS who started to get their layoff notices as of last night. 6,000 people at the agency, and that's across the country, not just here in Washington, D.C. It's about 6% of the workforce. But this is something that is part of the broader workforce reductions by the Trump administration. And they're defending this, saying that this is all about trying to target waste, fraud, and abuse.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram. All of them are the same, and I'll follow you back on any platform you follow me on. It's at Chris Hand on Air. At Chris Hand on Air. You can watch the show live, Super Talk TV, happening over on YouTube. YouTube chat's always jumping. I gotta put them on notice, though. The like and subscribe numbers are way low today. Rookie numbers.
Yeah, 57. Yeah. Normally we're in the 70s by now.
Maybe we have a high dislike number today. You know, that could be true.
It costs absolutely nothing.
It's free.
Yes, sir.
It's free to like and subscribe. And we provide you all the information, fuel, and opinion-driven news all day.
The only thing it helps It's Chris's kid get fed.
Yeah, it helps my kids get fed. You want them eating? You want them eating water and bread? Is that what you want? You want these kids to go hungry?
They've already had to walk in the snow this week.
Honestly.
Uphill both ways.
Uphill both ways. So, yeah, help me feed my kids. Hit like and subscribe on YouTube. I do appreciate it. All right, so we got a lot to cover, and we spent the majority of the commercial break saving people's names in the super text line. From that
Chris and I were going back and forth, and
that was hilarious. One guy said, they call me Stud Muffin. I said, all right, saved.
My favorite I saw was, they call me the crazy trucker.
Saved.
Saved.
It's hilarious. All right, so I do want to cover the border. I do feel like this had to pain CBS to air.
Over the past week, Border Patrol has apprehended an average of 285 migrants per day along the entire southern border. He says that's down 95% from the same time last year.
Down 95% from the same time last year. Listen, one of the things that we said when Donald Trump took office with the southern border, that obviously one of the first things that you need to do is stop the bleeding. You have to stop the bleeding. Well, I mean, we're not there fully, but we're definitely not hemorrhaging anymore. Like, this is massive. This should not be understated. And CBS, they had some credit to give on the decline.
Banks credited the decline with the increased federal and state assistance that Border Patrol has received.
Oh, but they didn't need a bipartisan border bill to do it? With money for Ukraine and money for Israel and money for everything else? That's weird. That's strange. It's almost like Biden could have done that a long time ago. It's almost like if Biden had sat on his hands, we wouldn't have had a border emergency anyway. Yep. And it's only going to get better. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, last night she was on with Hannity, and she says, listen, designating cartels as U.S. terrorist organizations is a massive deal, and that's going to help them greatly because we have hundreds of thousands of known criminal illegal aliens. Now, they're all criminals, but illegal aliens with known criminal records in this country, and what they have to do right now is no small feat.
We have hundreds of thousands of criminals that were let illegally into this country. That means they have criminal records. They've perpetuated crimes in this country. They're members of gangs and cartels that have committed crimes around the world. And tomorrow is the day that we're going to be able to make sure that gangs and cartel members are foreign terrorist organizations, and it'll give us new authorities to go after them and get them out of the country. So this is not a small operation, Sean. This is an operation that we're going to have to work aggressively at for a period of time to make sure that we're getting all those dangerous individuals out of our country, and then go on to those who have overstayed and have final removal orders. We're going to go forward and make sure that our federal laws are upheld and that every single law is followed in this country. The Biden administration didn't do that. They didn't ensure that the American people were their number one priority, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in today. So.
No, they didn't make the American people their number one priority in the Biden administration. No. It was America last during the Biden administration. Things have drastically changed. And, now that we have the foreign terrorist label on these cartels and these gangs, well, drone strikes are on the table. Drone strikes on the table. I hope they act. I do. President Trump was talking about designating these organizations, these gangs, and these cartels as terrorist organizations last night.
Just this week, I officially designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, including Trendy Aragua and MS-13, which gives us great power.
Yeah, it does. And again, I hope we see something out of that. Tom Homan discussing how much was spent on illegal aliens at the border and via the Biden administration, letting them into our country, flying them into our country, giving them hotels. We talked about it the other day, $22 billion. They were buying them cars. They were giving them home loans. It wasn't just cell phones and hotel rooms and food. Cars and home loans. There are homeless people in North Carolina right now because of natural disasters. FEMA had money for illegal aliens, though. There are homeless veterans in this country right now. It's disgusting. Never should happen. But Tom Homan talking about the billions that we're going to be saving because these illegal aliens shouldn't be getting a dime.
I, for one, have been complaining about this for decades. I've been doing this 41 years. I started in 1984 in the Border Patrol. And yeah, Clinton and Obama said the right things. They talked the talk, but they didn't walk the walk because the agencies didn't really get into the misuse of these social services, social funding. And President Biden fell off the face of the earth with it. We're in the multi-billions of dollars. And 130,000 of social services per illegal alien, that's more than most Americans make a year. And
$130,000 per illegal alien? Did I hear that right? I must have misheard that, right?
Face the earth with it. We're in the multi-billions of dollars. And 130,000 of social services per illegal alien?
No, I heard it right. How much do you make in a year? Is it $130,000? That's what the average illegal alien was getting under the Biden administration. Huh. Does that piss you off a little bit? Pisses me off a little bit, not going to lie to you.
That's more than most Americans make a year in the salary. So it is a major driver. I mean, I'm doing this a long time. I know how many times you hit a load house full of illegal aliens waiting for payment to get released to the people who smuggle them in the country, and how many welfare cards and food stamps and social services envelopes you see all around these homes. This has been going on for decades, and don't thank God for DOGE, because look, these billions of dollars we're going to save that illegal aliens shouldn't be getting, they can help rebuild North Carolina.
He's absolutely right. He says, we go raid homes and we see all these social checks. We see the checks on the floor. We see the stubs. It's wild. It's wild. And the billions that we're going to save, it could rebuild California. I mean, it could rebuild North Carolina. He does say something about California here as well.
They can help rebuild California where they're devastated by these fires. In Kentucky, there's a lot of things we can do for American citizens, the homeless vets, with these billions of dollars are illegally being given to people who aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah. Listen, things are changing. And DOGE is helping with a lot of that. There's a lot of talk. We've been talking about DOGE ad nauseum. We did get a call yesterday, though. There's a lot of DOGE conspiracies happening. A lot of the blue anon lefties are saying, "Oh, they're going to cut Social Security. They're going to cut Medicare. They're robbing veterans of benefits." They're using emotional arguments to manipulate you. And yesterday we had a caller who said, "Listen, I heard that a VA fired a therapist." And I thought, I didn't hear that, and I hadn't seen that story, and I'm sure it would have been plastered everywhere if that had been the actual case. And I'd played some audio from Doug Collins, the VA secretary, and he's saying, we're letting DOGE in, but we're using these cuts to refocus money towards veterans. Well, yesterday afternoon, VA Secretary Doug Collins, he released another video to go after all of the misinformation out there about DOGE and the VA. And I thought it was important to bring back to the show because we have such a large veteran audience. And we spoke about this yesterday because somebody called in about it. And I thought the timing is just perfect. Thank you, Doug, for putting this video out.
Hey, everybody. We're doing things differently here at the VA. And I've told you, you've been seeing me on video, you've been hearing me talk about it. We're putting veterans #1 back at the VA. That may be a little different than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, we've been putting illegal aliens first to the tune of $130,000 per illegal alien with homeless veterans in this country. Yeah, putting veterans first is something different than we've done in at least the past 4 years.
But this is why we're doing it. And look, when you're doing things, you're making moves, you're making good moves. Motion causes friction. But I found out something. I've been gone from D.C. for a little bit. But I just found out undoubtedly Burger King has opened a franchise in the Senate side of the House and on Capitol Hill. I don't know what's happened, but Whoppers are flying out the door everywhere.
Cheesy joke, but you understand the point he's making. Whoppers. It's a Whopper.
Let me tell you what I've heard. Whopper #1 going out the door. VA healthcare is going to suffer. That couldn't be anything further from the truth. In fact, what we've done is actually strengthen VA healthcare and VA benefits by actually putting a cap on that. We've protected positions so that veterans are not going to have any diminishment in their health or their benefits. You know how we did that? We blocked off 300,000 positions and said they're not going to be touched. They're mission critical. Because why? Our veterans are mission critical.
Okay, so 300,000 positions blocked off. They're not going to be touched. These are mission critical positions. We're not going to fire anybody that would hurt the health investment in veterans. Got it? Cool. Whopper number 2. Whopper.
Whopper number 2 is veterans' benefits are going to be cut. I've told you they're not. I've tried to tell you this before. This was like a Whopper with no tomato.
Okay, Whopper. Okay, Doug. I'm trying to give you credit here, Doug. I'm trying. This is a Whopper with no tomato. Is there pickles on it, Doug? Are there pickles on the Whopper? Sesame seed bun?
Hold the onions.
Yes, honestly. I want to get through this, but I hate the Whopper jokes. I do. I'm trying. Okay. Whopper number 2.
Just doesn't fit. Because here's the other problem with that. We took almost $98 million that were being spent elsewhere and put it toward veterans care and veterans facing. Those are the kind of things we're doing. So it's not being cut. Whopper number 2.
Okay, so that's 2 Whoppers. Is your belly full? Are you ready for the third Whopper? The third Whopper addresses exactly what we were talking about yesterday, therapists being cut and suicidal veterans, which is a problem that is way too large in this country. And you know, if we're losing these therapists, we're losing these people on these hotlines, that's an issue. And absolutely one that we would raise stink about here on WTN because we love our veterans. Doug addresses that point blank with Whopper number 3.
And here we go, Whopper number 3, strike. This one is one I want you to really listen to. The VA is laying off people who answer the veteran crisis line. You have found out from me that I care about our veterans more than anything. And to think that this is actually occurring is wrong. We did not, hear me clearly, lay off any veteran crisis line responders.
Did you hear that? They didn't lay off any crisis line responders. Good.
Responders. They're still picking up the phone. They're still talking to you, and they're going to be. Why? Because I said so.
All right, there's your Whoppers. You full? Just in time for lunch. We dished out a ton of Whoppers. Okay. Doge is going through the VA. They're looking for waste, fraud, and abuse. I'm sure that if I asked, I could have a phone full of calls from veterans who could point out waste, fraud, and abuse of the VA. I'm not going to because we understand. But Doge is looking at everything. Doge also wants to open the doors to Fort Knox. Is the gold still there, or is it like Dumb and Dumber when they open up the briefcase and it's a bunch of paper IOUs?
And I'm going to do something. I'm actually going on this one. You know, all my life I've heard about Fort Knox. That's where the gold is kept, right? I heard Fort Knox. Oh, but you know, we're getting a little bit shaky. We're getting the yips on this stuff.
We're getting a little bit shaky. We're getting the yips on this stuff. I don't know. I feel like that's a new hotkey.
Getting the yips.
We're getting the yips on this.
But you know, we're getting a little bit shaky. We're getting the yips on this stuff.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting a little shaky. We got the yips. Is there gold in Fort Knox? I've never heard that saying. Is that like an alcoholic going through withdrawals? We're getting the yips.
I don't know, man.
Like, where does that? Getting the yips?
Might be something you get after a bad Whopper.
Getting the yips. Yips is a term for involuntary muscle spasms that occur when trying to perform a specific movement. This is why Trump. This is why Trump knows it. It's most commonly associated with golfers. Getting the yips.
Not right now, Tiger.
I'm getting the yips.
Later, Tiger Woods.
No statue for you, Tiger. I know you're getting the yips. But we'll get to your statue later. Getting the yips.
Oh, but you know, we're getting a little bit shaky. We're getting the yips on this stuff. Like, I want to find out. So we're going to open up the doors. I'm going to see if we have gold there. We want to find out. Did anybody steal the gold in Fort Knox? It's a pretty amazing place, but I'm going to actually go. We're going to open the doors. We're going to inspect Fort Knox. We want to make sure that we actually have, 400 tons of gold or whatever the hell it is. It's a lot of gold. I don't want to open it and the cupboards are bare.
I'm getting the yips. Or the cupboards bare. I love this guy. I do. He has a lot more to say about Doge. Trump talking about how Elon attracts young people with high IQs. I'll play you that when we return. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We've had some snow. And what happens when the snow melts? Well, if you follow the science, it turns into water. If you got cracks in your foundation and you follow the water, it's getting into your crawl space and it's getting into your basement. That could cause some damage. Don't wait. Call United Structural Systems today. These guys are the best. When you need waterproofing, you got to call USS. They've been doing it since 1994. They have over 30,000 satisfied customers, and they aren't going anywhere. If you even have the slightest inclination that there's some water getting into your property, call today, because if you ignore it, it's not going to get better on its own. It's going to turn to wood rot. It's going to turn to mold. That's going to lead to foundation issues, people in your family getting sick. You don't want that. Call USS today. These guys are the best. You can trust them. You're not going to get a sales guy. You're going to get an expert. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems, USSTN.com.
All right, drivers in Murfreesboro, you got a crash blocking the second left lane of 24 eastbound right before 840. Then in Smyrna, we've got a crash, left shoulder block, 24 westbound before Almaville Road. And some horrifying details coming out of the Gaza ceasefire. We'll tell you about that at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 25 minutes past the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. We're broadcasting live on your FM dial, the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, and you can watch us on Super Talk TV over there on YouTube. Shout out to my friends in the YouTube chat, though. I'm looking at the like and subscribe numbers, really low. Rookie numbers. You're not helping me feed my kids, guys. Come on, step it up. Step it up. Appreciate it. Just giving you a hard time. Trump yesterday, man, he was on one. He was talking about Elon Musk and Doge and the kind of people that Elon Musk attracts. Give me some audio. Thank you.
What we're finding and what we found, and these were all found by these computer geniuses. I asked Elon, what trait do these have? You know, they started off with 12 guys, then they had 30 guys, then they had 57 guys. Now they have over 100 guys, and he attracts very young people with high IQs, you know. Some people attract very beautiful people. I think I like them better, actually. But he attracts young people that are brilliant, and they love the country, too. But I said, what trait do they really have? And the trait that they really have was that they're extraordinary with computers. They can take them. He said they make love to their computer. I said, I don't want to hear about that. Doesn't sound too. He said they can take apart the most complex computer instruments and literally put them back blindfolded. So when they go into some guy that's ripping off the country by doing some of the things you've just heard or what you're going to hear, they can't be bullshitted.
They can't be bull bleeped. Or as the late great Uncle Phil would say, no bovine scatology will be included. You know, they can't. You can't bull spit a bull spitter, right? And these kids, they can't be bull spitted. I love it. I love it. Now, there was an idea that's been floated around that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not. And it's the idea of Doge checks. This has come up multiple times now, where they want to send out checks, maybe around $5,000 to individuals with the money that they save. And listen, it would make a difference in my life. I'm not gonna sit here and be like I wouldn't be ecstatic if I had $5,000. Like I'd be able to take my family on an extra vacation. Like I understand the value of the money, but I just go back to the checks during the pandemic and not wanting those, and realizing that when the money machine goes burr and the printers get fired up, so does inflation. And if our big deal is getting the budget back on track, why are we doing anything with this money other than paying down the debt or refocusing it where it needs to be? This is Trump talking about Doge checks.
They're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions. And we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down.
I don't agree that the debt is tiny. And I don't agree that sending out more free money is a good idea. However, the only people that you're going to hear arguing against this right now are a few conservatives. I was joking with Murphy on the text. Me and Murphy text sometimes. We're text buddies. I said to him, I was thinking about saying a line. You know, the only people that you're going to hear arguing against this are me and Murphy and Democrats. That's pretty much what you're going to find. And one Democrat, unsurprisingly, took the bait and is now arguing against free money. And I hate to break it to you, it's only going to hurt you with Democrat voters. I'll bring you the audio from Jasmine Crockett when we return. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a new crash. This is going to be 840 eastbound before Arno Road in Williamson County. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And we start this half hour with horrifying details out of the Gaza ceasefire. Here's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem.
Terrorists in Gaza murdered, quote, with their bare hands, 9-month-old Kfir Bibas and his 4-year-old brother, Ariel. Those are the gruesome results from Israel's National Forensic Institute that identified and did autopsies on the bodies of the young Israeli hostages. It's another painful blow for the Bibas family and Israelis at large, after Hamas failed on Thursday to return the body of the children's mother, Shiri, handing over instead the body of a Gazan woman.
Money news. Mortgage rates have been hovering around 7% this year, more than double the record low of 2.6% over 4 years ago. Plus, the rising price of existing homes is keeping many would-be buyers at home. Home prices also a deterrent. National median sales price up nearly 5% in January from a year earlier to just under $397,000. But in Nashville, Realtor.com says the median listing price last month was $545,000, and the median home sold prices was $480,000. Money doesn't seem to be an issue for the suspect accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione back in court in New York today, his first court appearance since December. Here's Trevor Ault.
Mangione has garnered a massive wave of popularity, this week issuing his first statement through a website created by his defense team, saying the support has transcended political, racial, and even class divisions. And donations continue to pour into his defense fund, which has now raised more than $500,000.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's live, Super Talk TV over there on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. Is it just me? I don't think anybody else is doing it, but I'm very competitive with the other hosts.
Oh, just a little bit.
I want to beat Mandis. Mandis had some good likes on there today.
Yeah.
So if you're over there in the YouTube chat, or if you'd like to help me beat Mandis, head over to YouTube, hit like and subscribe on the show while we're still live. We appreciate it. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Do you want a Doge check? 615-737-9986. Honestly, I truly, and in judgment-free zone, you know where I stand. I don't like the ideas of the money machines going burr. I don't like firing up the printers. I think that fires up inflation. I think that no matter how you get to it, that's going to be the end result. So I'm not a huge fan. Trump, he's on the record now saying that he likes the idea. He likes the idea. Do you like the idea? 615-737-9986.
They're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the Doge savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt. Because
I think 40% to paying down debt would actually be better, especially for my kids and grandkids. You know what I mean? Like, this is past us at this point. It's way past us. Like, we're probably on great-grandkids with this debt that we're facing, the barrel of this gun that we're staring down. So can we just pay down debt? I would prefer to just pay down debt. Now, Democrats fell in it. They did, understandably so. Democrat voters like free things. It's like built into their DNA. They don't understand that there's no such thing as free lunch. There's never a free lunch. Make no mistake about it. And one Democrat who Jim Clyburn thinks she should be the 2028 presidential nominee. Jim Clyburn, Jasmine Crockett, she went on ABC News to fight against the Doge dividend. And again, there's only going to be two types of people that are fighting against this. It's going to be conservatives who understand what happens when the money machine goes burr, and it's going to be Democrats. Now, conservatives can have a principled argument about it, and you're not going to lose your base. You're not, right? Like, you're going to have Thomas Massey speaking out against it, I'm sure, and conservatives like that. And people are going to respect that argument from conservatives. Conservatives in general, even if they want the check, even if they want the money machine to go burr, they're going to respect the argument. Democrat voters are going to look at this and say, why aren't you letting Trump send me a check? Point blank. And Jasmine Crockett, she should have sat this one out. Democrats, if they were smart, they would have sat this argument out. Or they would have made the inflation argument. I don't know if that would have been a good strategy for them. But if they were smart, the smart move would have been to sit on your hands on this one. But Democrats can't help themselves. If Donald Trump says the grass is green, they're going to yell it's blue. You know, like they're just so tribalistic. They're going to go against anything he says. So Jasmine Crockett gets out on ABC News and says she does not support the Doge dividend and doesn't want checks going out because, well, Orange Man.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from Doge back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
Listen, he's just telling a lie. He's not the one that had anything to do with the $1,200 refunds that people had during the midst of COVID that was done by a Democratic House and Democratic Senate. Right now, what they're going to do is say, hey, we want to give you a refund, but Congress won't let us.
You like what she does there, too? So she takes credit for the last checks that came out, the free money, which, made inflation go through the roof. So bold strategy, Cotton, bold strategy. And then she says, now they're going to say Congress won't let it happen.
Because they already know that there's just no money for that. The only reason that those refunds came before was because we were living in different times. This was a time in which hopefully we won't ever go through again.
Yeah, it was different times. Times were different. It was the deadliest pandemic ever. A pandemic that if you sat down at a restaurant, you were totally good. It was a different time. It was a different time. Scary, scary, scary.
We had a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. The bad part is that I don't know if it's once in a lifetime because we know that Ebola, unfortunately, was detected right here in New York here recently. And if we continue down this road of getting rid of scientists or deciding that we don't want to rely on experts as it relates to what they're telling us to do.
Trust the experts. I just dragged Deborah Birx yesterday, and it just pains me to even go back through this. When she was saying, we knew the vaccine rollout was flawed. We knew it should have only gone to elderly people. We knew it wasn't going to stop you from getting COVID or transmitting COVID, and we should have followed the science and data when she was a science and data person. All right, sorry. Jasmine Crockett, please continue. Why are the checks a bad idea?
Or we don't want to deal with vaccines and medicine in this country, then we may be facing not only our next pandemic, but our next 2, 3, or 4 pandemics because of their incompetence. So no, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you.
I don't know what $5,000 will do for you. Talk about somebody that's disconnected from Democrat voters. Now, Donald Trump, with all of his money, he'll talk down to other rich people about money, right? But with all of his money, I don't think he's ever talked down to voters about money. And I don't think he's so disconnected to not understand what $5,000 will do for your average American citizen. Like, I'm not broke by any means, but I got 4 kids, and a $5,000 check would absolutely be huge. I mean, that's a down payment on a car. Like, stop. What is $5,000 going to do for you? What she means to say is, what is $5,000 going to do for her? Because she's worth $9 million. So that's chump change, right? That's chump change for Jasmine Crockett. What is $5,000 going to even do? A lot. A lot for a lot of Americans, actually. A lot. Now, I'm not here to defend the checks, but I am here to point out that Jasmine Crockett absolutely stepped in it. She took the bait. Don't take the bait. The smart move for Democrats was to sit this one out. I don't think she's going to be the only Democrat that takes the bait. But do you want the Doge check? You can either vote on our poll over on the YouTube channel where we're live, Super Talk TV. What is the poll at right now?
All right, we got 3 options. 1, give me the money.
Okay.
2, heck no. And 3, pay the debt. We're sitting at 52% to pay off that debt that we got right now. So it's just push the money towards it. And close second, though, is 39% with give me the money.
Yeah, I voted heck no, and then I realized there was a pay the debt option. I probably would have gone with that.
Yeah, I think
heck no and pay the debt are the same thing.
That's fair.
That's fair. John in Nashville, my friend, would you take a Doge check?
If I don't have a choice, yeah, because $5,000 would make a difference in my life, but in my kids' lives and stuff, no, heck no. Put it toward the debt. That makes sense.
I'm with you, man. I appreciate it. Jeff in Goodlettsville, you're up next. Doge check or no Doge check?
No Doge check. Put it down, pay the debt. And, buddy, isn't Jasmine making Texas proud?
I mean, listen, why would she argue against free money when she knows? Does she know her base? Does she know the Democrat base?
No. I think that Trump baited her in and is just making them look bad.
I'm with you, and she stepped right in it. Appreciate the call, Jeff. Ray in Nashville, you're up next. You want the check?
Yes, I want the check.
Tell me why, man.
Well, I want some of my money back that they spent on all this stupid stuff. They give all these millions and millions of dollars out that didn't make amount to a hill of beans. It went right back in their pockets. But they used my money to do this.
Ray, you got kids? You got kids or grandkids?
Yes, sir. That's where it would go to.
But if you take the money today, that results in inflation for them tomorrow.
Well, the reason we're in this spot and wanting the $5,000 is because of the last administration put us in this inflation.
And how did they put us in inflation?
Spending too much money.
Sending out free checks, right?
Yeah.
I think we're only listen, I respect your opinion, Ray, and you have every right to have it, my man. But I think you're only going to exacerbate the problem for your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Scott in Murray County. What up, Scott?
Hey, brother. No, I ain't going to take no dang check. Those checks are kind of like wetting your pants in a dark suit. You know, it just gives you a warm feeling, but nobody's going to notice. You know.
I appreciate it. Wetting your pants in a dark suit. Well, I mean, listen, every time Biden wet his pants, we would notice because they would have to pull him to a back room and then change him and then come out wearing new pants.
Or just let him wander.
Whose pants are these? Steve in the borough, you're up next. What's up, man? You taking a Doge check or not?
Hello?
Hey, Steve, are you for a Doge check or are you against the Doge check?
Yeah, I want the money. Hey, listen, you keep talking about inflation. It doesn't really matter. Do you really think that the inflation is going to go down anytime in the future? So you might as well have a little bit of money that these people have taken. And as far as you keep talking about,
but Steve, it's not about inflation going down. It's about inflation not going up, my man.
Well, it can't get worse than what it is when you're paying damn near $3 a gallon for fuel and food and everything else. I think the money while you can get it. That's the way I see it.
I appreciate your call. I really do, and thank you for holding. But if your theory is that it can't get any worse, I assure you, brother, it can always get worse. Always. A couple more calls. Ryan in Thompson Station. What up, man?
Hey, guys. So here's the thing. You know, I understand about giving out free checks is going to cause inflation, but it kind of irks me that I have to say no, so I'm not causing inflation, but I have no say whatsoever on all the billions of dollars that's been given to Ukraine that's causing way more inflation than a $5,000 check to me.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I think you have every right to be frustrated about that. I don't want the money going to Ukraine either. I don't have any argument against your point. I still think, on the principle of the argument, though, I don't want the money machines to go burr. I just don't. Michael in the borough, you're next on Super Talk. What do you think, Mike?
I say pay the debt, but let me ask you this. I think I read, and you can clarify it, that this is $5,000 per household, not per person. If that's the truth, I would just soon pay the debt because a lot of people think it's per person, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, give me the money, give us the money." But if it's not 10,000 because you're a couple, nobody's explaining that.
I hear you. I mean, as of right now, I don't think there's anything in official writing. I think, obviously the devil will be in the details. Either way, whether it was 5,000 per household, 10,000 per couple, I would say I don't want it. Just like I didn't want the COVID checks. Just like I didn't want the stimulus checks. I didn't want the stimmies. I didn't buy into the argument of, Trump gave us the stimmies, Biden gave us the stimmies, who gave us the free money? I hated it. Hated all of it. And when they were arguing about the stimulus checks, was it Christmas 2020? Was that when they were arguing about it? But I remember distinctly saying to my wife, because at the time, listen, we had what, 4 kids. We were broke. I'm not going to front. Everybody goes through it with a young family. And she was like, man, we could really use that money. I said, yeah, we could. But it's going to make things a lot harder in the future. And the only thing we needed to prove me right was a little bit of time. And I feel like this is one of those similar situations. But, hey, I could be wrong. And I've been wrong before. I'll let new information change my mind. One story I did want to get to was the IRS is going to lay off 6,000 employees. And I thought to myself, wow, that's awesome. 81,000 to go, right? Because they were hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. And I did some Googling that I tend to do. I do some searches. And it turns out that they were only approved to hire the 87,000 agents, and it was over a decade. They hadn't hired that many yet. So 6,000 IRS agents being fired. That is a massive good news. And shout out to Doge. We got a lot more on the way. Chad Benson's coming in next. Going to let us know what to be prepared for on the Chad Benson Experience right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 11:56, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I got a poll up. You want a Doge check?
Let's do it.
Is it send me the money? Heck no. Pay down the debt. I feel like heck no and pay down the debt are the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Chad Benson's in studio.
I would go, for me, I would say pay down the debt.
I'm with you.
I'm right there, too.
I mean, isn't this the whole point?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole point is we're saving money.
I'm getting messages, and I feel it. Like, Jasmine Crockett, she stepped in it, right?
Oh, she totally did.
She stepped in it. She took the bait. But I got a text, and it's like, hey, I'm a senior citizen just existing, doing without, car's not running. I want to pay the debt, but I really need the check. And, like, I feel that. Jasmine Crockett gets out there and says, this is chump change. What's $5,000 going to do for anybody? And I was like, $5,000 will do a lot for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to miss that point, but I'm just thinking about my kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids and what the reality that they'll face. And I don't like the idea.
No, I think it's ridiculous. Plus, if we're worried about inflation and there's going to be tariffs, there's going to be slowdown. We know some of this stuff is coming. Consumer sentiment is not in a good place right now. And you're going to go hand people money. That potentially is going to cause even more inflation, even though they say, well, people are going to save it. No, they're not. It's free money.
Yep.
Free money. You find $100 inside of if you're walking in a casino, you find $100, you're going to gamble that way different. You're not like going to squirrel it away.
Yep.
So it's the same thing. And the whole thought is we're trying to pay down the debt.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I got another text, 8538. I usually like your show, but not today.
Uh-oh.
There's a dislike button on YouTube if you want it. But he said there's nothing wrong with returning an overpayment of stolen funds to the rightful owner. Plus, this gives great optics to Doge, makes the Democrats squirm. Transferring funds doesn't involve printing more money.
No, it doesn't. But that being said, this whole thing about the Doge was not to find a bunch of money to return some of it and pay. Yes, and she is. In the overall scheme of things, is she right about the chump change that it's saving America at this point in time? Yeah, because why? Because we've spent so much else. And we won't talk about the stuff we really need to talk about.
$37 trillion. Yeah, when DOD says we're gonna cut 8%, I'm like, I feel like we could do a little bit more than that.
100%. I mean, and we've got to talk about, hey, we're going to have to figure out how we continue to pay seniors and continue to deal with Medicare, but a younger generation is going to have to learn 70, maybe your new retirement. We're going to have to extend people's work lives because they're living longer too.
Yep.
And, we're going to have to, figure out if we privatize some of it or whatever, because otherwise we're not going to be able to afford what we have.
Yeah. It was yesterday at CPAC, Elon saying, everybody's fear mongering. Oh, they're going to cut Social Security. They're going to cut Medicaid. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. He's like, this is how we save it. And for the first time, I've made comments in the past, like, I didn't have any realistic expectation of Social Security.
I am at the age where I'm like, that doesn't exist.
Exactly. I don't think I'm going to get it. However, if Doge does what Doge says they can do, maybe we do get it.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm not planning on it.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
And until we figure out, too, plus we haven't even hit critical mass when it comes to the gray tsunami of the retirement starting to really take off. And then you got Medicare and all of this stuff. And we think about the debt. The service on our debt is closing in on being as big as our defense budget.
I think our debt's already our interest is already surpassed.
The interest. So think about that. We're going to be at a point where we're going to pay more. We're going to pay minimum on our maxed out credit card.
Yeah.
And it's going to get more expensive every month.
Yeah, I don't want free checks.
No, I know.
Pay down the debt, please.
Yeah. And if you want to ask seniors or people in a certain level if that's maybe okay, but we got to figure this out.
We have to. Yeah. We have to. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed if there are people that are really in need.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. And I don't want to hurt your average American citizen, but selfishly, I'm like, I don't want to hurt my great-grandkids either.
No doubt.
It's 12:01. Chad's in next. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.